Welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. I'm your host, Mr. U, and the Warriors are in the house. Husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons representing tonight. How you guys doing, man? Everybody well?
Terrific. All right. Doing well.
Let's get it, baby. So this is our Men's Mental Health Month. We had a little chuckle about it last week, how we don't hear about that at all in media and such. It's surprising. If anybody needs that kind of help, it's us, because what we deal with in life. So we're going to acknowledge it on this show and talk about it throughout the course of the month. So from last week's show, guys, if you were watching or listening, or you were actually a part of the conversation, or if you're in the comment section and you're checking us out from there, any takeaways, thoughts, revelations, insights you got from last week's show and this topic that we touched on last week, with the anatomy of the armor that we touched on. Any thoughts on that? Any things to consider? Any revelations?
Man, we got real deep.
Thank you so much.
We got real deep last week. Like it got intense.
Very, very intense. I don't know one of our shows that hasn't been like that. Honestly, I don't think we cakewalked over any issue in this group. We've always been, pretty deep about it, man. But anything else that kind of struck you that you dealt with through the week? Something that relates to mental health? Something you've seen or heard about? Maybe honest feelings you're having right now about where you are physically and emotionally. Anything you want to share? Jump right in. Let's go.
All right. I'll kick off. My name's Lee Freeberg. I'm a men's coach. Help men grow, rebuild their lives, just like I did, like I had to go through. And this month being June, the month that we look at men's mental health and we take an extra minute. This month alone, I've sat and reminisced about veterans I've known who've took their own lives. And it was really, really humbling and not sad, but there were some emotions involved in thinking about these men who maybe could have been saved if somebody had only sat down and talked to them for a little bit and spent some time with them, and just let them express what was going on. Just to say, hey man, I see you. I know you're going through a hard time. And if you know somebody who's in that position now, like struggling in life, don't hesitate. Reach out to them, put your arm around them, say, hey, listen, we see you. We know you're going through hardships. We've been doing this too. We're here for you. And so that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you, Lee. Awesome stuff, man. Anybody else?
I was watching last week and in the comments section, and one thing that y'all were reflecting on that kind of hit me this week is the fact that when we're talking about, quote, putting on the armor, and it's always this kind of, as guys, we have this fight mentality. We gotta fight for everything. We're gonna fight this, we're gonna fight that. And yet the fact that it's also about the defense, it's about stepping up and making sure that we're not always heading straight ahead full speed, but leaning on each other and helping each other and talking to each other, like Lee just said. That fact that I think sometimes I'll speak for myself. I like to go it all alone, right? I don't really need anybody else. I could do it all on myself. Like Brett, you were talking about not going to the doctor last week. My wife calls that testosterone poisoning. She says us guys suffer from testosterone poisoning. I walked around for 3 days with a collapsed lung before I finally went to the doctor. So, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I had walked in the morning for like 3 months. The doctor said, you should have been dead by now. I don't think that was pride. I just thought I didn't think it was as bad as it was. So,
yeah, what's the doctor going to do anyway?
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. All right. Anybody else want to jump in? Thoughts from last week's discussion? Thoughts on mental health overall?
I don't necessarily have a thought, but I have a question. because I know this. I talk about this a lot, and Scott just mentioned it, and the other gentleman mentioned it. We need to speak up if we see someone struggling. Maybe someone's not struggling. We don't know that they're struggling. Nobody ever talks to them.
Hmm.
What causes us to hold back? We see a man who he's a quiet person, so we'll just leave him alone. How do we push through that wall of the uncomfortable silence? I've been trying to figure this out myself, so I don't know if anybody has any insights on that.
I'll give you my 2 cents on that. What kind of finally made me realize that I needed to do it and go ahead and speak up and say hello first. And by the way, I'm an introvert. I hate talking to other people. That is not my comfort zone. I don't want to do it. No way, no how. My wife has that gifting. I don't. But what finally made me realize that I needed to do it is 2 things. One, when people did it for me and how much it helped me when I was suicidal myself and had that thoughts and had people reach out and say, hey, I see you. I see you're hurting. And then 2 was when I do help other people, the way it makes me feel and how good that is, that pride we have as men when we help others, that feeling of accomplishment. If I don't allow them to be in that situation, then I'm robbing them of that as well, and so sometimes us reaching out first is inviting them into the conversation in a way that lets them engage and help and feel that same feeling, even if they're hurting. They out of that hurt, sometimes men get growth through helping. That's my 2 cents, Mark.
I like that. Any additional thoughts?
I think that's a big part of why we do the show, Scott. What you're talking about is we have such candid conversations here on this show because it's not just we're not just talking about us, right? We may be the ones on the screen doing most of the jib jabbing with the mouths, but we're having the conversations because maybe if we have those conversations, it gives other people permission to have those conversations as well. Yeah. It gives a chance for men to go, oh, look, there's 6 guys on the screen talking about this, and they can talk about it, and maybe that's it. It might be that just that first chip away of going, crap, someone actually talks about this stuff. Like I didn't know men could do that, and I think that's a big portion. I think it's still really difficult for men to, as Mark was saying, to break that wall of silence, right? And I found with most men, the most effective way that we can bridge that gap is side by side. We got to do something side by side. Words are never the right lead off when you're talking to other men. You start talking by doing, coming side by side in the conversation, helping them do something in tandem, working with them on something, volunteering with them on something. You start talking by being there side by side first, because that's not threatening. We're built to work that way. And I think honestly, that's the first step in breaking the silence with another guy, because, you can get guys who don't know each other at all. And some person's like, hey, can someone help me do this? And 4 guys are like, yeah, we got that. And all of a sudden we're best friends. We don't know each other's names, but we can all work together to build that deck or to move that car or whatever we need to do. Right.
Yeah.
That is the absolute way men are wired to work. And so when we're working on breaking through that wall of silence, bridging that gap the first time, I think the most effective tool in our arsenal is coming beside each other in some useful way where we're working together first. I think those are the first words and the most effective words to start that conversation.
Yeah. I want to share a point real quick, but for you guys that are on here, if you guys are watching, listening, share this with a friend, tag a friend, even where you are. I do that from stage all the time. Sometimes folks forget that we're on. I don't know how, but they forget sometimes. Tag a friend, share with a few friends, let them know that we're here and we're ready to rock and roll. This may be a microcosm of what Brent was talking about, which is really poignant. I don't want us to lose sight of what he was talking about. But even in, let's say, for example, in sports season, some kind of sports, I think men don't realize what's actually happening when they're celebrating together, because they're rooting for the same team and something incredible happens. They either win a championship or something happens and they're celebrating. What Brent is talking about, that's what's actually happening, but they don't realize that. They think it's just a shared experience in that moment. But what it tells me, and I guess I just think about things differently than other people, I guess. But I just kind of feel like that's what we need. We need to be walking alongside other people, especially other brothers. And when we do that, there's a feeling, you might call it in the sports, it might be exhilaration, it might be excitement, but I really feel like it's more of a deeper, even more spiritual connection than that. It means something when we're together and we're in the foxhole together. You know what? It's like just me and you, and we know we got each other's back, and we're doing something that matters, like Brent was talking about. Man, that feeling is indescribable. And that's why we fight so hard against isolation. When we see it, when we smell it, when we hear it, we're rallying against it because we recognize that it's the opposite of who we are as men, who we created to be. We're supposed to be in isolated boxes like that. That's just shooting fish in a barrel. We're easy targets every single time. But when we're together and we're linked in arm to arm, whatever situation, whether it's helping a lady put on a new roof or helping somebody do what, fix a car, whatever it is, when we're together, there's so much power in that. And I don't want men to forget about that and lose sight of that, because it's something that is subtle sometimes and it's not really, tangible all the time, but it makes such a big difference. And I've seen that through this show. Because if you go back and look at all the shows since we started in, I think last summer, I think it was, Brent, if you go back and look at that, you see, if you take the time to look through all the shows, you see clear evolution. You see clear growth. You see men stepping up into leadership, not only in their own household and changing things there, but also in the community. I hear stuff all the time about men that watch the show that are part of it, that are panelists, and they're building groups just like this one where they live. And for me, that's the entire vision of this show. That's the whole point of all of this stuff. If you're building a group like this where you live, you're doing it because that's one less man that's going to be standing on the bridge saying nobody cares about me. Nobody wants to hear my voice. So anything you do makes a big difference in that regard, man. But we're talking about a lot of things, but I want to get into some of the ideas around the success paradox and lonely leadership. I mean, when you guys look at people who are in the entertainment business and you hear all of the same patterns, the higher they rise, the lonelier they feel, right? The more they have, the least they feel like they have anything of real value. I think leadership is like that, especially for men a lot of the times. And it gives us almost an excuse to go into isolation. Have you guys ever seen where you pursued accomplishment and you grew in those areas, but you sacrificed connection as well? Have you ever seen that in your personal life before?
Oh, I for sure have. If anybody knows my story, when I started my fitness journey, it was all about me. I was trying to build a fitness business, and I neglected my wife, neglected my family, and like almost destroyed my marriage. You guys know my story a little bit. I'm not going to go into that, but I had never been a person who was successful or even driven towards success. And this one time in my life, because my ego was getting blown up, I was driven towards success and I totally neglected everything else. So, you ask if anybody's seen that. I for sure experienced that. And now even with podcasting, I have to be very intentional to make sure that I'm not spending all of my time figuring out how to do the best production and find the best interviews. And because I'm working a full-time job and doing this at the same time.
Yeah.
I have to be very intentional with my time. So it's not all about the podcast. I got to make sure I'm not neglecting my wife and my other relationships. Yeah, I definitely have seen it.
Thanks for sharing that, brother. That's good stuff, man. Anybody else kind of can relate, have a different story to share? Come on, let's go.
There are periods in a man's life that I think he's going to be lonely, especially if he has dreams and goals and a destination that he's trying to go after. If you want to compare it to somebody, you can look at Elon Musk, and I bet that dude is super lonely sometimes because he commits his life to what he's doing. Um, Obviously, we're not that hardcore into technology and building businesses, whatever else. But there are times, even in my own personal life, when I was designing and building the things that I'm building now, I felt completely alone. And I mean, I even reached out for help, and people were just like, "No, you got it. It's no big deal. Lee's got it," and then just left me alone. And in those moments, like I like the topic we're talking about, resilience. Like I had to find some resilience in myself, pull myself through this lonely period. And when I came out the other side, I was stronger, but then there was some separation. But many friends stepped off, like they were gone. But I did find new friends, and that transition where I was to where I am now was painful. But I learned, I got stronger. You just can't quit, even in the lonely periods.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you. Anybody else?
I think a lot of times we buy into the myth ourselves, and then other people do as well. It kind of sounds like a little bit what was happening to Lee of, the self-made man, right? The guy's done it all, by himself. And like, I mean, Elon Musk is a great example of, I actually know some of the engineers and things that work at SpaceX. It's down the road from me in Texas. And, it's not all by himself. There's a whole big old team of people around him, but we mythologize and say, he did it all himself. But that becomes a kind of a trap because we buy into it. Well, if I can't do it all myself, it must mean there's something wrong with me. So I'm going to just do it all on my own. And then other people buy into it. And, like Lee, you said you asked for help and people went, "Oh no, you've got it." That's kind of them buying into that same myth of, well, if we help him, somehow it makes it lesser. Where I think the truth is, success never happens alone. Not real. Well, at least not what I would define as success. I mean, I guess some people.
No, you're right the first time.
You're right the first time. I wouldn't call it success, at least.
Yeah, you're right the first time, man. Anybody else?
I think there's two pieces of this that we got to address as far as the success paradox. One is anytime that you decide to change and grow, you're going to experience loneliness because the majority of the people who are your circle now are not going with you on this journey.
Won't go on with you. Yep.
You are absolutely going to experience loneliness, and this can happen in your relationship. And you have to be really careful with that, with a marriage relationship and your kids. You can't leave them behind, but you also have to realize that as you start to grow, a lot of your friends are not going to want to grow with you. They're not going to go with you on this journey. And in fact, they will actually try and keep you from going that way because they like the comfortable you they're comfortable with. So that's one piece of this that we have to address is if you decide to improve yourself or change in a positive direction in some way, you're going to meet resistance from the people closest to you. And that immediately makes you lonely because it's more abusive than like that hits you more than anything else, right? Because they're close to you already. The other thing we got to watch is we have to watch some of the, like just looking through this group, some of the professions we're in, our industries are not I'm not a carpenter, right? I don't have a plumbing business. I don't have a real estate business, right? In my city, there are other people who could click with me on those professions. I'm a podcaster and a coach. Like it's a very lonely road because I can't go to like a men's breakfast at my church and we start talking about what we do at work. And people just don't even ask me anymore because nobody understands my life because it doesn't look like a normal 9-to-5 job. Right. So I think you also have to pay attention to the industry or the direction you're going professionally or personally, because there are some roads that are going to be lonelier than others just because a lot of what we have in common with other people has to do with what we do. That's how, especially as men, that's how we identify a lot of times. And so when you start down a path where there's not a lot of other people in your immediate community, it's going to cause some loneliness too. So there's definitely that success paradox, right? When you start to get ahead and you start to feel all alone because you're just grinding and leaving everything behind, and you're working and you're pushing. But there are some other factors in there that you have to pay attention, because if you start trying to fix this, but that's not the cause, you're just going to feel even more alone.
And the point you just made was the one I was getting ready to make just now. No, it's not so much like, it's lonely at the top just because nobody understands what I do, but sometimes it's lonely at the top because we, like Scott said, we kind of sacrifice everything else because that goal means so much to us. And there are people who literally sacrifice their families for the thing. It could be a ring, it could be the gold ring, it could be the corner office, it could be a lot of those things. So those are just things to kind of factor in, because people do that intentionally a lot of the times, and it's a cost too high to pay. But any other thoughts on this idea of the success paradox and sacrificing connection in pursuit of accomplishment? Any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, man. I think it also, in addition to what Brent's talking about, right, it depends on how we define our success and where we're placing that value, right? Like you mentioned a gold ring, right? If we're chasing a gold ring, then it's competitive, right? We want that thing. That's our prize. And it doesn't matter who gets in the way. Doesn't matter who even wants to help. Like, this is mine. I'm claiming it. I think about how I used to live my life, right? Attained this big, high-paying job. I had the big house, but then all of a sudden I was too cool for school because all of my value was inside of myself. It was, the world thinks this is what success means, and I agree with the world, but this is also mine. Does that make sense? Like, I worked this hard to get to that point. Now I have to defend it. Whereas today, we know that from the scripture, it tells us that man's going to be lonely, right? Women were created, for the Lord knew that it was not good for man to be lonely, right? So we know that this is an inevitable thing. But if we place our value in community, kind of like where we're at right now, right? God first, and then our community. We were created for community. But when we find our value there, then success doesn't have to cost.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you win, Yusuf, I win. Right? Because that's the love that I have for you. I want to see you win. Same thing with you, Brent and Lee and Mark. And I'm only meeting you guys now, but if you guys win, I win. I feel successful when you win, right? Because my value is now in community. My value is now in the love that is reflected in that. You guys know, I'm low life, right? So that all changed when I chose the path of humility versus the pride in the world that'll tell me, hey man, if you make 150K a year, you're doing okay. If you make 250K, you're running your neighborhood. If you make $500,000, you know what I'm saying? Like, where it's a monetary thing, where metrics determine success. I even think, like how Brent was saying, his profession, he's a coach, right? There's not a lot of people that can come alongside him in his town, where he's, in case you guys didn't know, he's the mayor.
I did not.
The unofficial mayor of Quincy, Washington.
but I mean, what, like, the metrics for him to be a successful coach, right, are going to be specific to who he's coaching and how he's doing it, right? It's not going to be based on what the world says is successful. Otherwise, Brent wouldn't be the coach that he is. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the podcaster that he is, or even the person, right? So I think if we define it and we know where we're placing the value in that changes the entire game. We could, in essence, implode the paradox in and of itself if we're focused in those ways and we have clear set definitions on what that is.
So, thank you, sir. All right. Who's up next?
Yeah, one of the challenges, for a long time, and it's kind of what Dustin was just talking about. I looked at success in terms of material stuff, having the nice house, having a car, have the, blah, blah, blah. The thing I discovered is no matter what I put there, it kept moving away from me. In other words, it was like, oh, when I make six figures, I'll be successful. well, no. When I make 150,000 a year, I'll be no 200,000. You know, it's a moving target.
Yeah.
And it never ends.
Yeah.
But like
You
you're
bet it
talking
is.
about, when I step back and realize, wait a minute, relationship, you know, it's not transaction, it's relational.
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden it's a different measure, you know, and it made me happier. It made me connect more. It's and that's what kind of fooled me. That's what I don't think anyone told me, is that this idea that, oh, as long as I chase that material success, I'm never going to reach it because it's a moving target, and I'm never going to be happy because of that. But when I stop chasing it, I'm going to be happier. And strangely, I actually end up with more material success. You know, it's like, but it just shows up. It's not because I'm chasing it. It's there, you know, in a weird way.
I love it, man.
I think that's something that success costs all people, that they don't tell us up front, right? All the gurus, all the people who inspire you, nobody tells you that, like, the line keeps moving.
Oh gosh.
Like I remember, so I used to do personal training on the side of, I'm big into like strongman and moving heavy stuff, and I broke my neck in an accident in the gym. Right.
Wow.
I've been carrying 600 pounds, went down backwards, snapped my neck. Bad day. Right. I was sitting on the couch with my wife, talking to my parents. We had to go up and see my parents, so my mom knew I wasn't going to die. Right. You know, do the good son thing. Mom's always worried about us, no matter how old we get. And my dad asked me, he's like, 600 pounds. I was like, yeah. He's like, so let me ask you, when is enough enough? And I was like, I don't know, when I can't pick up anymore, when I can't get any stronger, right? Because that's something you learn in the gym. If you actually fall in love with either getting stronger or working out or looking fit or whatever, you develop a dysmorphia because there's not enough, right? And I think in success for a lot of people, I know a lot of guys who pursued their dreams and they got to that dream. Like, they hit it, man. They started that business and had a couple of employees. By all definitions, they were living a good life. But then all of a sudden, that was the dream, that moved farther and farther. It's like, oh, well, you know, I got like 5 employees, and, you know, we live good. We got a nice house, and I can do all the things I want to do. But you know, we need to expand. This needs to grow, right? We need to scale. That's the hot word these days, right? We need to
That's a hot word, scale. Ooh,
right?
Scale.
And no one tells you that. It's like, once you start tasting success, you start going, like, what was successful is now like, well, yeah, but that's where I'm at. That's now I got to be more successful, right? I got to get more successful, and there's dysmorphia to that can consume you. I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble, is you get a taste for it, and then it just starts to consume you. Well, how far can I go? How much can I make? How much is enough?
What I keep hearing is we're talking about our success and what's the best you can have? How much can I make? I've not been super successful monetarily in anything really in my life. I have success. I have a lovely family, lovely wife, successful marriage, but even that continues to I have to maintain it to stay successful. But I think the way that men, not to get too spiritual, I don't know how this, I'm kind of new here, so forgive me, but I'm the.
Oh, you know what's up, Mark? You know where you can go, brother. You know where you can go. You know how
For
we
me, you know, in order for us to be successful, not monetarily, not any other way, is we have to die to ourselves. Because what I keep hearing is, when we hit that goal that we're reaching, when I reach this, when I do this, but if our focus is always, and Scott kind of mentioned this too, if our focus is more on helping others, because that's when we're dying to ourselves, when we're trying to give what we have, what God has given us, to others, then that success just comes without us even pursuing it. If we pursue Christ and don't pursue success, then that will come to us.
It's good,
Can
man.
I ask
It's good.
Can I ask the group a question real fast?
Of course.
To this group, how would you define success versus purpose?
I like fantastic question. Anybody want to jump in? I'm gonna drop it on the in the chat for everybody to ponder it. But right.
I'm still racking my brain trying to figure out what dysmorphia is, man. That's a huge word in my brain.
Word of the day candidate for sure.
Just being in the fitness space, dysmorphia is like body dysmorphia when you actually are fit, but you don't see it and everyone else sees it.
Yeah.
This is skinny people who will tell you how overweight they are.
Right.
Basically, it's like an exaggerated hang up or whatever it is that only you can see, nobody else sees it.
You
perception.
I had a former student that actually went to the point of eating disorder because of body dysmorphia. They swore that they were obese, and I'm like, you're a twig, you're not obese, but they couldn't see it, and they did have to get help. Purpose versus success. Purpose is one of those words that I talk about a lot because I talk a lot about calling and vocation, and vocation is really what the word calling means, not career. Career is a different word. Career is what you get paid for. Vocation is what you're called to do, and by definition, if you're called, there's a caller. God who's calling us to something. And purpose to me is that internal echo of that outward call. In other words, it's my recognition internally of this is what God has called me towards. Does that make sense? Where success to me is much more of a worldly word of that they put on, it comes from outside. It doesn't come from inside. It's put onto us by culture, friends, enemies, whatever. The outside puts it on. So purpose is internal going out and success is external coming in. And I think that's why it doesn't always fit for us, if that makes sense. That would be my off the cuff explanation.
Mine may be a lot more elementary, and I'm okay with that. I see purpose as the why and success as the what or the how.
What?
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
Yeah,
it's the means, but it's not the destination.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would say. The success, that's the goal, that's the destination, that's the finish line, right? For me, success is good and faithful servant, well done. That's success for me, right? Purpose is the vehicle. Purpose is the vehicle. That's what gets you there. That's what drives you. That's what keeps you maintaining and moving, and right. So I agree with the elementary one though, right? It's the why and the what.
So how we do, Lee?
I would agree.
How we do?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that success is what I get, and purpose is what I give.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Boy, go ahead now. I like that. That's hot. That's hot. That's hot right there. That's good. I like that. Mark, were you saying something? Sorry to cut you off, brother.
I was just going to agree. The other word I would say is success is the result of the purpose.
Yeah. Copy that. I like it. We got some comments coming in from Charles John. That I would define success as faithfully using everything God has entrusted to you, your time, abilities, influence, finances, and opportunities to honor him while providing for and leading others well. He goes on to say, as a Christian, success is becoming the kind of man who consistently acts with conviction, grows in character, serves God's purposes, and leaves a positive impact on the people around him. Good stuff, my guy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's a good friend of mine.
Well, you guys on talking. You got good friends, brother.
Good answer. Yeah, I like it.
I love it. Me too, man. Me too. All right, where we going next, man? I feel like this next one's going to be kind of hot, man. So who's taking that? So I don't have to do it.
I'll ask the question. I don't know if I have an answer. Is there a scenario where you can share where providing became an excuse for not being present?
Oh my God. we spend so much time here. I know everybody has something to chime in on this because many of us watched our, well, not me, but many of us watched our natural fathers in the household work so much, hardly ever see them, and we accepted it, even though it didn't feel quite right. We accepted it because they were providing. And sometimes, and even in some cases with panelists that have been on this show before, they walk that same thing out. They worked hard, whether it was in a corporate office or as an entrepreneur, and they spent so much time in those spaces because they had to provide, bring home the bacon, so mama can fry it up in the pan. That was the mentality. And then they don't realize that it was an exchange that happened between them and their family that you can't recover from it now. You can't come back from it. You lost something. And sometimes it's not saying it's impossible to come back, but it's very difficult. People take years sometimes to come back to the place where they can redevelop their trust, because people wonder, are you going to be around? Will you show up? And the kids, especially, they take that thing hard. They can't break down what's happening physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And they're like, okay, dad's not here, mom's not here for me. They're not showing up. So it's like, I'm by myself. And they carry that into their teenage years and their adult life. So this is a tough question. What are you guys thinking about this? Is there a scenario that you can think of, even if it's a personal one, where you've seen this or experienced this? This is rough, but
in a very real way. That's actually, I alluded earlier to a period in my life where I was suicidal. That's why I was suicidal, because I thought to myself, I'm literally worth more dead than alive, because I was struggling to provide for my family financially. We had a lot of debt. We had a lot of financial problems. I was a school teacher. I wasn't making very much money. I was working extremely long hours. I was never home. I'd get up in the morning, my son was asleep, and I'd go get home at night, my son's back in bed. I hadn't seen him for a week, that kind of thing.
Oh, man.
And it was all about providing. And in my head, it was like, well, if I die, my insurance will pay out, and that'll be enough money to set my wife up and take care of her. I'll provide for my wife by taking my life. And, I looking back on it now, I realize how wrong that was. My wife would much rather have me than the proceeds from a life insurance policy. But that at the time seemed really logical and that it made perfect sense at the time. But that's not what provision really is. Again, I was looking at provision in a really messed up way. Being there with my wife was much more provision than a $500,000 life insurance policy or whatever else it was.
Yeah. Thank you,
You know
Scott.
what's horrifying about that, Scott? I actually had a colleague I used to work with, because most life insurance policies will disqualify you. They will not pay out on self-harm. However, he actually farmed out and went through and found a policy intentionally that was guaranteed to pay out at a high rate in the case of self-harm. And he got that policy intentionally because he was in that same headspace of, well, I'm such a screw up as a dad or as a husband. This is the best thing I can do for my family.
Yep.
Thankfully, he did not go there, but he set himself up for that. And it's horrifying that even insurance writers like that even exist.
That is horrifying.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate space to be in. And unfortunately, that's a lot of people, right? The pressures of having to provide. And if that's you, if you're watching and you're listening to this and you're feeling that kind of pressure and you're thinking you not being here is better for your family or anything like that, you're dealing with some kind of a crisis, 988 is a nationwide emergency mental health hotline number in the US. You can call, text, chat, go online to 988lifeline.org for 24/7 support from trained crisis counselors. If you prefer text-based, you can text the line at home. Text home to 741-741 and get the help that you need. These people are trained for it. Your life is worth it. If you're a veteran out there, we salute you and we support your service. We thank you for it. And we tell you again, you need to be here, right? And so if you're finding yourself in crisis, man, call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or you can text 838-255. For me, I think I landed kind of in a similar vein there. I stumbled upon this providing becomes absence. And then for me, in my immaturity, providing became my excuse because I wanted to intentionally be absent. Like I had this good job. I mean, the job was great. I worked probably on average 4.5 hours actually a day and got paid about 150,000 a year. Like it was great, and this was 10 years ago. So it was even better because money is not worth what it was worth then, even now. Right. But I found that I used to use that time, man. And I used to use that excuse to my now ex-wife, like, hey, I'm working. I'm providing. Like, do I not put everything on the table for you? Not realizing it was just my immaturity. Like what I was doing was I would end up going hanging out at the bar, just shooting the breeze with some people at the sports book. I lived in Vegas, so that was always fun. If it was baseball or football or in any sports season, right? I'm at the sports book. And then my wife would call me. I'd run to the bathroom. Hey, yep, I'm at the office. Hey, why are you yelling at me? I'm providing, right? Not knowing the cost, right? Her and I were rocky for the duration, I feel like, of our marriage, but it cost me my kids. That absence didn't just cost me like a missed relationship or opportunity. Like I have zero contact with them right now, and it all started with me being a provider, right? And not knowing that was going to be the cost, man. I look back, and as happy as I am with my life now, gosh, I wish I'd have my kids still in my life, and that was the cost, all because I found providing an excuse for me to be absent, and I willingly took it. So it's not a fun space to be in. I'm thankful that I believe in the redeeming power of the Lord and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because I'm living a different life now. But yeah, man, that provision thing, right? I'm a lot more content with life when I just let Him be the guy that's providing. When when I let Jireh provide.
I think sometimes men find more success at work and they feel like they're failing at home.
Yeah.
So it's easier to be in the place where they feel like they're serving a purpose at home. They don't feel like they're really being the man they're supposed to be. So it's easier just to avoid that.
Yeah. That's real.
I'd like to share a little bit here, but mostly this is kind of a response to somebody who might find themselves in that scenario right now, where they're heavy into their career, they're working hard, they feel that loneliness and that separation from their family, and there's trouble building a home. I had one of my clients, I won't mention names, I was working with them a few months ago, dealing with something around the same issue. And I told him, I said, this is a phase. There's a great quote, this too shall pass. Right. And I told him, I said, I know it's hard work and you got to put the time in. The thing you're working on does require a lot of your attention. But sometimes you just simply need to go into the living room and sit down with them. No matter what they're doing. They could be watching TV, they could be playing on their phone. You sitting down next to them and just putting an arm around, physically contacting your family members. They know you're working hard. They see you working. They know, and maybe your family situation is different, but this person's family knew he was working. And he did. He started making a point every evening. He'd just sit with them 10, 15 minutes, touch each one of them. And over a month, he watched his relationship with his family grow and happiness return. And there was a bond and a connection, not because he gave up the career and turned away from the goal or the purpose that he was working on. No, he took time intentionally to sit with them. And so if you're struggling with that right now and you're having a hard time with your family, sometimes just sitting in silence with them so they can physically see you, you touch them, you connect with them, can make all the world difference.
Sure. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. What's up next?
Are we making a pivot here, Mr. U, to the next
Yeah, we
question?
are. Well,
where
if you want to share something else on this one, yeah, of course, we got time, man. So if you want to talk about what you just heard, by all means, go ahead. I'm not rushing you. Take your time.
No, I was gonna tap onto what Lee said. Little rituals make a huge difference.
Yeah.
My daughters are 11 and 14, and we still put them to bed as a family the same way we have since they were babies. Like every night,
14-year-old?
yeah, every night at the end of the night, we all get together, everybody, because my mom lives with us. So is my wife and myself, our 2 daughters, and my mom. And we still get together. If one of us is gone, like if someone's out, they call in, and we still get together and we sit together and we sing 2 like nursery rhyme kind of songs.
Get out of here. If you're a 14-year-old,
We Soft Kitty and
stop
a little
Brett. You're kidding. You got to be joking, Brett.
at all.
Come on.
11 and
What?
14. We sing Soft
I'm
Kitty.
going to Big Bang Theory land right now to my soft kitty.
No, that's exactly what we sing. Yeah.
That is the song.
We're a Big Bang family, so we're a Big Bang family. But we sing, and the kids pick the songs. It's not always those 2, but we pick 2 songs. They each could pick one, and we take turns. We rotate who has to say the prayer. But every night we do this as a family, still to this day, because that ritual matters. And I still turn on the same music. I have one album. It was one of my wife's favorite albums, and she hates me for it because she can't play it any other time without getting sleepy. I've been playing Adele 21, the album, every night of their lives since they were born. I turn it on for them to start getting ready for bed, and it programmed their brains. They start hearing it. They start getting sleepy. Facts.
Oh my goodness.
I've trained them their whole life, but now it affects all of us. Like we can't turn it on in the car when we're driving because it makes all of us tired.
Wow.
But we turn on the music. We do our little songs and prayers. We give hugs and kisses, and we still put them to bed the same exact way. Because no matter what else my day looked like, I have 15 or 20 minutes as a family with my family every single night, no matter how long I've been gone. Even when I was having to travel for work, I was going for a month at a time to like North Carolina for work at one point in my career. I'd be gone for a month at a time. And I called in every single night from my hotel. We did songs and prayers together as a family and said goodnight. Like,
Wow.
Those little rituals that you embed early on, if you hold on to them, as life gets chaotic, as you guys get into this, I'm growing. As long as you can hold on to some of those, they mean so much.
Wow. That's good, man. That's
I'm
good.
hearing soft kitty, so we got to pivot. So let's
By the way, Britt, don't start singing because we'll all fall asleep. Okay.
I was waiting for him to sing it.
Well,
If I
Sheldon
start
said
singing,
you're
you're all gonna leave the show. You're
Sheldon said you sing that song when you're sick. So nobody here is sick, so we shouldn't be singing that song. Because Sheldon said if you're sick, you sing that song. So you're not sick.
I'll take the bullet on this one though, because
It's the Manchurian. It's the Manchurian candidate kind of thing. He's gonna.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is crazy. It's crazy, but
So
it's kind of jump to that. Okay.
going to the self-reliance, right? I got it crap. And I will take the bullet on this one because my score is low. So here's the question. How would you rate your process in allowing other men to support you? And I want to know, how negative can the scale go? Like, if this
My
is the
question is,
scale,
why do you want to go under 0? I don't understand why that's a goal for you. Why do you want to go under 0? Okay,
No.
so why you?
How would you
Let's
rate
move
your
up
process?
past 0. let's
And how would you rate your process? That was the question. My process, like I'm barely pulling a 1 if I'm in a good day. Like this is one of my greatest weaknesses. Honest to goodness, like that's why I'll take the bullet on this one. This is one of my greatest weaknesses as a man, because I have felt like I had to do it my whole life because we were so independent. A lot of you guys know my story. We moved every couple of years. My dad was a domestic missionary, so we moved, and I had to start over every 2 or 3 years. New place, new faces, new people, right? New culture a lot of times, and so I learned to do it on my own because I didn't have anybody going with me to count on. And I became so ingrained in I am the only one I can count on and I can rely on, that asking for help is one of the hardest things. Like I struggle so hard asking for anybody. I struggle to ask my wife for help. We've been married for 25 years. And I struggle to ask my wife for help. I got something going on with my joints right now. I can barely bend one of my knees, and I had to ask my wife to help me put socks on today. And it was mortifying to me. She didn't bat an eye. She was my wife is very loving, and she didn't think twice about it. It wasn't a big deal to her. I was mortified that I had to ask her to help me put those socks on this morning because my knee wasn't working right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is how, like, I am the struggle bus king on this one. And I know it's something I'm trying to work on, but I don't have the answer for how to beat this one.
Are there any brothers listening that can help him out with this situation?
Do you like helping other people?
I love helping
Do
other
you like
people.
Do you like helping other people?
Yep.
How does it make you feel when you help other people?
Not a damn thing.
Doesn't make you feel anything when you help other people?
No.
Okay. So why do you do it then? Why do you do it then?
Because I was raised to do it.
That's funny.
Okay. So why would you rob that of other people?
Yeah, I've heard this question a lot of times. It still doesn't.
It doesn't resonate to you at all?
No. My best friend gave me a watch. He gave me a very nice watch. I took 3 weeks at a critical time in my business off because his dad died and he needed help fixing his dad's house because he's a computer guy. He's never been a fix-it guy, right? And his dad's house was completely trashed. So I took 3 weeks off my business during a critical juncture and spent 3 weeks just going every day and helping work on this place. I didn't do it because it made me feel a certain way. I did it because that's my brother, and it doesn't matter. If I'm dying, I'm still going. But it doesn't make me feel a certain way to do it.
Yeah, but my question again doesn't matter whether it makes you feel. I asked why you did it, and you said that's because how you were raised.
Yeah.
So why would you rob the opportunity of me to act out how I was raised?
There are other people you can do it with.
But what if I chose to do it with you?
I don't need help.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You couldn't put your socks on this morning, dude.
He said
You couldn't put your socks on this morning. You did need help.
I went a long time.
Soft kitty wolf.
And think of it this. Remember, you've internalized this. You admit this is something you want to work on, and you've internalized this because this is the environment you were raised in.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah, it is. That's what you just said.
My father raised me to help people. My father was a minister. We helped everybody.
Right. But you are also raised to be self-reliant and not ask for help because that's the pattern that you, not intentionally. I'm not saying your dad sat down and said, that's the lesson you want to learn, but that's the lesson you internalize.
Yeah, that was survival.
Okay. So think about the lessons that you're letting your daughters internalize by watching you not ask for help. Unintentionally. That's not what you're intending to do. But think about the message that you're letting them internalize.
I am going to pour out some oil of love on this situation. I want you to understand.
Hey,
Brent, that
hey, I'm saying it with love, but
I didn't say you were, Scott, but I feel compelled to pour a little bit
just
more
think
out
about
on
that,
this one.
Brett. Think about that.
This is valid because and Brent knows because we talk about this kind of stuff every
Yeah.
single week. The impact that we have on other people, and
Absolutely.
the
Unintentional impact too.
the consequences and the benefits of our actions. So we discussed this stuff. Brent's not immune to he gets that part. And he said he's working on it. I'm trusting you because that number is like that's crazy. I said that to you many times, so it's not nothing you can rewind it and hit the same thing, same tone, same love and compassion from my brother all the way in Quincy. But come on, man.
Mhm.
0? No, sir. You know you got. If you don't trust nobody else on this panel, which I don't see how that can be possible, you know you can call me. I can't put your socks on for you. It's kind of out of the question right now, but the proximity. But I mean, I can help you in other ways. You know that, and I will never steer you wrong. So this is just a decision you got to make at this point. This just is a decision. That's all it is. Okay,
By the
I'm gonna
way,
say
the reason I can say that, Mr. Yu,
hold on,
just
Scott,
real
brother.
quick.
Hold on, Scott. Hold that thought right there. All right, so I'm gonna give you a picture. Jesus and Judas. I'm gonna give you a picture, right? Best in the kingdom mind right here. Jesus already knew that Judas was a betrayer. I'm pretty sure that he walked past a few sharp objects when he was in the same room with Judas and didn't even blink. He already knew what this man was going to do. It wasn't like he was just like, oh, I'm so surprised. You stole the money? What? He knew. And he still loved him throughout. So what I'm saying is, even if you think in your mind, or you hear a voice saying, you know what, Mr. You're going to stab you in the back. Trust me and give me the opportunity to be there for you. I think all these men feel the exact same way. Even the men that were on here tonight, that you know. Okay, go ahead, Scott. Share your point.
What I was going to say is, right, by the way, the reason I'm on you for that is my score used to be negative 1,000 too.
Impossible.
You know,
Go that low.
and it's still not where I want it to be, but it's a lot higher today because I have realized that, you know, again, I internalized that same lesson growing up, different reason, but still. And I didn't want my kiddo to internalize that lesson. That's why, you know, that's why I started changing the way I was doing it.
Copy that. Good stuff, Scott. Anybody else want to jump in? Don't pile up on Brent. Let's just.
No, that's fun. Dog pile Brent. I want to watch that. No, sorry.
Don't pile
I'm
up.
kidding. I'm kidding. Be nice.
Okay. Go ahead, Lee.
Is there a stigmatism to asking for help?
A stigmatism?
Among men, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a different point of view because I got this is a pride thing. But for me, for the longest time, I wouldn't ask for help more for fear of rejection. Because if I asked this guy to help me and he said no, because I had been told so many times in my life, what would be next? Who would I go to next? Well, I'd have to rely on myself. So where does how do we correct that fear of rejection over, I have to do this because I have nobody else?
Yeah.
All right,
Really,
I
we
have
have multiple people. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a follow-up question. So what does a man do when his own family won't support him? When he's went to his family and asked for help, he humbled himself, said, listen, I need your guys' help. I'm not talking about wife, children. I'm talking about mother, father, grandparents. What does a man do when he asks his father, I need your help, and his father refuses to help him?
Wow. Wow. So when you ask this, is this to assume that he's got no other recourse? You know, because like I think about this helping thing, right? I very much resonate with what Mark said. I very much resonate with what Brent and Scott both said. I used to be a negative, I'm going to say 10,000 just because I want to one up Scott. But it was for multiple reasons. One of them was fear of rejection, like Mark. Another one was, you touched on this, trust, right? I had trust issues, right? A lot of you guys know, if not everybody, right? I'm a felon. I'm an ex-convict. So I am the product of what some may call a broken system, right? Where the system was unable to help me. I got out, touched the gate, and I faced 40,000 barriers the second I left the gates, right? Like, and that's a statistic. You can look that up, 40,000, right? So to ask for help, for me, I always assumed that the answer is going to be no, right? Like, or that they're incapable because they don't understand. I've actually experienced that with my dad, and I still don't know how to answer your question, Lee, because my dad has told me no, and I just kind of kept it pushing. You know, he didn't understand where I was coming from. He never lived a lot of the aspects of my life that I've lived. So he didn't get me. So he couldn't help me. Right. And I just kept it pushing. You know, what I can say where asking for help, that's hard, but will I allow help? Man, if you offer me help, let's get it all day long. All day long. I am not too proud to accept the help, but asking for the help, there are so many factors and so much lived experience that has told me that asking is not going to result in what I want. Right. Now there's one person I can ask, and I tell you, he always answers me the way that I need it. Right. I'm not going to drop any names, Jesus. But aside from that, I would say if I'm going to follow this path and rate it, I'm probably at a healthy 6 or a 7 right now. You see how I did that? But a 6 or a 7, man, I'll allow all the help all day long. But there are certain times and spaces and activities where I don't know. I don't know if it's a physiological thing, if it's psychological, like how you were saying, Brent, but there's just this wall that won't let me ask for help in certain areas.
I love it. Anybody else? Come on, chime in, jump in.
Just to kind of answer Lee's question about if your father won't help you. And again, you have to, at some point, if you're actually going to get help, you have to get past yourself and go to somebody. Like I don't know where you guys live, but where I'm at, there's a church in the city of Elgin, there's 100 churches. The religion doesn't matter, but there's churches out there who are there for hurting people. If you go to your family and you can't find help, and you brought up the crisis hotline earlier, there's someone out there who can help you, but you have to get past yourself and ask for that help. If your family won't help you, find someone else.
Yeah, I agree.
I would also remind you that there's two kinds of family. There's the family that you're born with, and then there's the family that you come into. And I don't know about you, but it's not the same list. You know, the people that I call family today are not only the people that I was born with. It's also a bunch of people that I've chosen to bring into my life as family.
Yeah.
You know, and so sometimes, my biological dad, alcoholic, emotionally abusive, never helped me. I remember him saying, "I love you" once in my entire life before he passed away, that kind of thing. But then I've got men in my life that my stepdad is a father figure to me, and I learned a lot from him, so it's not, and I learned a lot from my biological dad too, but he wasn't going to help me, so it's, I just, sometimes it's a matter of choosing a different family, for lack of a better word.
Fair enough. I like it. Anybody else want to jump in? Love to hear your thoughts if you haven't shared anything yet.
In regard to Lee's question about, your dad, it's a moment, because there is a time for dads to say no, and there's a time for dads to say yes, right? Now, and so that really depends on that circumstance. So we got to separate those two, because there are times as a father you absolutely need to say no to your kids. And sometimes you need to say no to your adult kids. for their own good, right? That's part of being a dad sometimes, and it's a hard part about being a dad. Or the dad that just is a POS, that one interaction when you go to that dad and ask for help and he says no is going to help define who you become for the rest of your life. You're either going to take that and become a victim, or you're going to take that and never be that man again in your life. It can make or break you, but that's all going to depend on your character.
And I think a strong man will look at his father and make adjustments to his own life, because our kids and you, me, we've all looked up to our father, or sorry, Mr. You. But for the most part, we've looked up to our fathers or our parents, some masculine man, to be the role model. And in some cases, like you guys said, like we take on that personality of, we got to help everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. We help everybody, right? We take that on. But then we look back in our lives and we look at this, like, we'll just say hypothetically, let's say my dad has anger issues. And I look at him and he gets mad quickly and snaps off on people and all this other stuff. It's my choice that I can say, okay, I can be like him and I can be angry and I can quickly respond in anger, emotions, let my emotions just flow through me. Or I can choose to say, no, I don't want to be that guy. And so every time I start to feel like that guy, I can step back and go, oh, no. That's not me. That's my father. That's my father's behavior. And I don't want to do that. And so we have the choice to do that and whatever else, to be like them. A thought came to mind while Scott was talking. There's this quote that goes, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Mm-hmm. And that just, the people you choose to be in your life become your family. And the ones who gave birth to you are relatives.
Interesting. Anybody else?
When he was talking about you, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
When he was talking about you have that choice to take on your father's personality or whatever it is, I thought about generational curses. And generational curses are not genetic. They're inherited. And when you get an inheritance, you have the choice to take on that inheritance or not. Sometimes you inherit things that aren't good. My father, I'll just briefly tell this story. My father was an alcoholic for a long time. And my grandfather died of cirrhosis of the liver. My great-great-grandfather, we came from a long line of alcoholics. My father got saved when he was 30 years old. Completely stopped drinking and everything. An overnight turnaround. It's an amazing story. But from my father making that choice to not follow what he saw from his childhood, changed my entire family around. My brothers and sisters are now all Christians, and everybody's obviously people are still making wrong choices. But it's really comes down to the man making that choice to take on that role or not to take on that role. Everything that we do in life is a choice. And what I really see as a man is the next moment when I get up from this computer, what choice am I making that is going to make me better or make me worse?
Any other additional thoughts? We're getting real close, about 5 more minutes or so left, but anything else? Even if it's not a response to Lee's question, anything that we talked about tonight at all? Any thoughts that came to mind that we didn't discuss that you want to kind of throw out there? Any comments or questions from the comment section? This is the time to throw these things out. You want me to sing Soft Kitty?
I do.
I'm waiting. I was just hoping.
gonna make a comment or a question. I'm not saying soft kitty. Give me a
I
comment.
wasn't
or a
going to
question.
ask for it, but I was going to allow it and accept it. You know.
Oh man, yeah, but
New show closing.
No, we're not going to be doing that. Go on YouTube. Go on YouTube. You can hear me sing. Put YouTube and put my name after. You can hear me sing all kind of stuff. You'll never hear soft.
The internet lives forever.
I know that. But just want to say thank you to you guys for coming in here and doing what we've been doing for several weeks and months now. Just raising the bar, man. That's what happened with this episode, man. You guys are fantastic. I know some of you guys are new, but I don't see it. I don't see where you were new at all. I think you came inside here and you rocked it, man. So thanks for coming in here and doing anything. Give you one more chance for any closing thoughts before we get out of here and start playing some outro music.
I can't help but hear it every time now. Soft kitty, man. Let's get it.
Soft kitty one.